Drones, or unmanned aerial vehicles, are considered to be a revolutionary technology in today's world. With more than 1 million drones sold in 2015, it seems like the age of the drone is upon us. Hi, my name is Daniel Gonzalez, and today I'll be looking at drones as a part of the history of technology. Nowadays, all types of companies and industries are investing in drones, but it wasn't always this way. As I'll explain in the next slides, the history of the drone has been impacted heavily by the US military. They were the patrons of this technology, and because of this, the drone's main purpose has been surveillance and remote killing in warfare. Let's take a step back. Drones have been used for centuries. In July 1849, Austrians launched around 200 pilotless balloons mounted with bombs against the city of Venice. In the Spanish-American War, the US military fitted a camera to a kite, producing one of the first aerial reconnaissance photographs. The evolution of US drones can be summarized as the passage of 5 overlapping phases in history. First, the drone was used as a practice target for military forces in the early 20th century. Second, in the interwar period and into World War II, the drone was imagined as a kind of flying bomb that could be delivered behind enemy lines. In the third phase, during the Cold War, the drone was seen as a viable surveillance platform. The fourth and fifth phases began simultaneously after 9/11. In it, drones were weaponized, fusing surveillance and killing. Furthermore, drones were refashioned as a policing technology in domestic law enforcement. Contrary to common rationale, the drone didn't just appear. History is the stories we tell about the past. The drone did not choose to be in history. Instead, history chose the drone through a series of social, political, and economic decisions. As we'll see in the next slides, these decisions shaped how and why. One of the defining characteristics of drones is being able to control these devices from a remote location. This would not be possible without strides in radio technology. It was Nikola Tesla who first demonstrated the remote control vehicles at the end of the 19th century, and by 1917, the first pilotless plane was constructed. In World War II, there was a spike in government spending for unmanned vehicles. This is because German forces were making sophisticated missiles that were shooting down aircraft. Around 40,000 US aircraft and 80,000 crew members were lost. This accelerated the development of US unmanned projects. There was now a financial and human drive towards a robotic air force in the military. It was a cheaper, safer way to fight war. New drones were developed and in the Vietnam War, deployed. This conflict birthed the most sophisticated program of drone surveillance in the history of flight. The Vietnam War was history's first techno-war, a war conducted according to technical principles and machinic systems. During the 1960s, the US Department of Defense computerized the battlefield, which allowed for more detailed and specific use of drones. Consequently, drones became much more effective in surveillance. The 1970s were defined by a mixture of unease and skepticism about the end of the human pilot. It wasn't until Abram Carem demonstrated the ability for a drone to fly for 56 hours that drone production increased. In comparison, the drones used in the Vietnam War only lasted about 2 hours. Let's fast forward to post 9/11. After the attacks, former President Bush signed a directive that created a secret list of high-value targets that the CIA was authorized to kill without further presidential approval. The first CIA drone attack was a disaster, killing innocent civilians who were thought to be the enemy. But the ability to kill remotely, the distance between the targets and the CIA, is a defining characteristic of drones. They are the zenith of the technological quest that runs back to the invention of slings and arrows, efforts of the early perpetrators of violence to get away from their victims. We can't forget that technologies also have human values. An example of this is the MQ-1 Predator. According to the US Air Force, the Predator system was designed in response to a Department of Defense requirement to provide persistent intelligence combined with a kill capacity to the warfighter. Currently, the Predator class of military drone surveils the ground from up to a flight ceiling of 25,000 feet. But a big trend in military and domestic robotics is to develop micro or nano drones that can range in size from a hummingbird to an insect. By going smaller, the state surveillance becomes more intimate. Overall, the history of the drone reveals two key trends in warfare: the importance of surveillance and the development of dynamic targeting. These trends converge today in a practice of lethal surveillance, which merges mechanisms of surveillance with decisions of life and death. It's important to remember that technology is neither good or bad, nor is it neutral. Just as the drone can be shaped to fit battlefields, it can also be used in other ways. For example, drones have been used for relief aid, landing in hard-to-reach areas, providing medicine and first aid kits until first responders could arrive. It's also projected that the agriculture industry will be the one to benefit most from improved drone technology, with the drone being worth $32.4 billion to the industry alone. It's easy to see how useful it might be to have an unmanned craft keeping an eye on livestock across several thousand hectares. Amazon has been developing drone technology for almost a decade now. It hopes to be able to send and receive packages with this technology. However, technology is affected by context. As such, current FAA regulations have been restrictive in the United States. Consequently, Amazon's drones are based in the UK. It seems easy to think of the drone as an inevitable technology. Hopefully with this video, you were able to see that this isn't the case. Drones are part of a broader social technical history, a palimpsest of ideas and technologies. If one thing is certain, the palimpsest of drones will continue to be rewritten for all of history.